Hey, everybody. Welcome to Spark Live for the January, second one for January, first one for me. So happy New Year. And yeah, we're excited about what we're going to be talking about today because it's such a landmine. I mean, we've talked to so many clients that a minefield, rather. It's one of those topics where you can absolutely get mired in the choices and overwhelmed with feeling like there's so many technologies out there. There's so many companies that, promise me the moon if I sign up with their software or their technology or start utilizing their systems in my business. But how do I know that it's really going to, work the way that I need it to? How do I know that it's really going to impact my bottom line the way that they say it will? So choosing the right technology for your business and all of the minefields that is. So we're going to be talking about 5 specific things to think about as you examine technology and think about different ways of utilizing it in your business and decide if something is right for you or not. So should be a good conversation.
And it's very timely, when you consider what happened with all the airlines and the FAA yesterday. What did they do? It was just a software update, a little simple software update. And then all of a sudden, one corrupted file and whew, everybody's grounded,
Yeah. I mean, for a long time. And before that, I mean, if we're talking about the airline industry, let's look at Southwest Airlines recently.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that was a problem that was a decade or more in the making, probably 20 years even in the making, because the airline has relied on software from the 90s because of the expense and the time and personnel and just hardware expense and software expense and everything else to update their software to get it to, really reflect the current state of that particular company and the airline. So that was a choice not to do something, not to use technology, and it caused, ripple effects that is just one of those perfect storms that right at the holidays, and but you talk to people and they're like, well, it was bound to happen. So our hope is that by talking about some of these things, we'll keep you from being the next Southwest Airlines in your industry.
Well, and I just want to tell everybody, Southwest Airlines, FAA, those are big names, big companies, and we think, it can never happen to us. We're just a little bitty old company over here, and it's not going to happen. Well, I'm just going to tell you, I'm not going to say who, but I know a couple of people right now that are dealing with, we went into the new year, we made some changes, it's going to be great. And now they're both going, oh my God, what have we done? It has disrupted, things aren't working, the way they do business it's being challenged. So it's not just the big guys. And that's why I think this particular subject is really timely.
I think so. Not the least of which, because we, are in the software game ourselves and offering a communication solution that we think has a tremendous impact in, for businesses. But how do you evaluate that? How do you decide whether or not it's right for your business? And that's what we really try to help people understand when we talk to them. I mean, rather than just selling it as, oh yeah, it'll work for you, no problem. We really do a discovery call and try to understand your business and understand what you're using right now and how what we have can work with what you have, and making sure that process, there's so many hidden costs with big technology buy-ins, right?
Hey, and it's just not that. Just recently, I don't even know, Carter, recently, you remember, we were going to change. We're trying to figure out our billing stuff, and we found a company that we thought was perfect. We asked them questions, we vetted them, we did the whole 9 yards, and so we bought in. And then what happened, Carter?
Yeah, we got less than 2 or 3 days into the transition and realized that it was not going to be what they said it was, and that it wouldn't do some of the very important things that we needed it to do, and work the way that it needed to with the software that we needed it to integrate with. And so we had to back out. Thankfully, we weren't too deep into it, but we were deep enough that it was painful.
Yeah.
We lost some money, and we spent some money that we'll never get back, and some time that we'll never get back, because you sometimes just don't know the right questions to ask until you're in the middle of it and the process has begun, and then suddenly the next question is very clear, and then you ask it and they're like, no, it doesn't work that way, and we're like, oh no.
But you made a statement that I think is really important for people to remember when it comes to software, and this is really a statement when it comes to a lot of things, not just only software, but the devil's always in the details. Always in the details.
Yeah.
So, and no matter what you do with software, there's going to be issues. That's the other thing. I've never heard anybody that has got new software, new technology, new something that answered all their questions, did everything they wanted to do it, and it just went without a hitch.
Yeah, no.
Just doesn't happen.
Especially software that runs your business, right? Like, customer management solutions and field management software that are, responsible for that multiple people in your business are going to be using to take appointments, book appointments, dispatch appointments, manage, inventory, manage personnel and availability and all of those things. I mean, those are multifaceted operational issues, and one software title is promising to deliver on all of it. And I've never seen, and I mean, this is I'm a marketer, and that's what I do. But I talk to so many of our clients and so many people in the industries that we serve, and I'm always curious about what software they're using to run their businesses. And there's the standard ones that almost, I'd say 99%, at least 97% of companies use, like QuickBooks. That's almost a given. But the field management software, communication software, phone systems, I mean, it just goes down the list. And I'm always curious what they use and why they chose it, and why that was, something that was important to them, and what specific things were like the reason that they bought into the system. And I'll sometimes ask the question, was it easy? Was this an easy transition? I've never heard yet somebody go, oh yeah, it was simple. No problem at all moving from what we used to use into this new thing. The only people that have ever answered that way are people who started their business at the same time they chose the software. Then it's easier. There's nothing to undo. There's no old system to replace.
So the other thing, before we get into the 5 things to really look at, is sometimes, and this is something to be really aware of, just to make sure that what you're buying is what you think you're gonna buy, what you need to be buying. I'm not going to name names, but there is software out there that they just changed their name. They get a really bad reputation out there in social. People don't like them. They're difficult. They're this, they're that, they're whatever. And so they just changed their name, which is kind of like putting lipstick on a pig. It's still a pig, but the name's changed. And so I've heard people go, oh yeah, I used to use this thing and I hated it. And then I got sold this thing and I hate it too. And it's like, did you know that thing was this thing? It's the same thing. So, be aware that there are companies out there that they've invested millions and millions and millions of dollars into this technology. But everything is changing so quickly. They've got that millions of dollars invested in kind of old technology. And so they're having a hard time keeping up with the new stuff that comes out. So they just change their name. So just be aware of that. So do your research and make sure that that's not happened to you. So are you ready to get in? You ready
Yeah,
to
just
get into
before
this?
we do, just real quick. I mean,
Mhm.
why is a marketing company like us talking about software that's not related to marketing specifically? And we say this a lot, but everything is marketing. Every decision you'll make in your business has an impact to your marketing. Decisions about communication, decisions about hiring, decisions about operations, decisions about just all of the different aspects of finances. All of those things end up having a marketing impact because all of your business is visible to the customers that you serve in the modern home services industries.
Yeah.
And that means that people notice, people are affected by those decisions. The software that you use either removes roadblocks and obstacles to the experience that customers are having with you, or it adds to those roadblocks and frustrations and experience speed bumps. And so that's why we're talking about it, because it really does in the end affect your marketing. So I just wanted to preface this with that.
Okay. All right. No, I think that's great. So here we go. We're going to dive in. There's 5 things we're going to look at today. So the first thing is make sure it solves a real problem. One of the things, just FYI, I love it when somebody says, "Oh my gosh, have you seen this thing?" And I'm like, "No, I've never heard of it." "Oh, it does this and it does that. It does this other thing." And I'm listening to them and it's like, yeah, but what is that solving?
Right.
I mean, what is that replacing? Because I'm thinking in my head, I've already got something that does that. I've got something that does that. And I have something that does that. And it does these other 3 things that I use too. So why is that better than what I'm using? And so you just listen out and it's like, well, what problem does it solve? And then they're like, well, it's just really cool.
Well, and this is a trap for business owners as well as for software creators.
Mhm.
To make software do cool things is a lot of fun. I'll tell you, as a developer and designer of some software in the past. I mean, it's cool when I can make it sing and I can make it dance and we can and all of this. But in the end, are we really solving a business problem? And sometimes it is solving a problem, but the way it's solving the problem creates more problems than it's solving. And that's where asking the questions, the devils are in the details, asking the
Yeah.
questions about not just will it do X, because a lot of times the sales guy on the phone is going to tell you it'll do that and solve that problem. What he's not telling you is that the way his product solves that problem requires a business to be at a certain specific place in their growth and have a certain kind of employee who's going to manage that process. And it needs to you need to give it attention and take care of this process, or it's not going to work well for you, or it's going to break your communications if you aren't set up and using and running your business in a particular way. So sometimes it's the problems that it creates when you adopt new software that you don't see versus the problems that it's really solving. So that's a real concern. So ask the questions like, okay, how exactly are we going to use this in our business? Like, a customer calls up and asks this question, and I have your software on my screen. What am I going to do? Like, how is that going to work? When you can ask those specific kinds of questions to see what the workflow looks like using their software, then you're quickly going to realize, or you're going to understand how well it fits, or how well it does, or how it doesn't fit with your current workflow in your business. And let me just say this: it could be that your workflow in your business is inefficient and outdated, and that this new modern software is a better way. And it could be that by getting this software and changing and modeling your business to adapt to the software, you're going to experience all of those benefits and problems that it says that it solves. But to take modern software and try to adapt it to an outdated business process oftentimes is a recipe for disaster.
So sometimes you have to make the decision. Am I going to have my people change the way they're doing business, or do we just stay antiquated? And
Yes.
and people get to make that decision, by the way. It's not a right or wrong decision. It's parity. Do we do this or do we do that? You have to make that decision. But what I see a lot of people do is buy the software but not want to change.
Yes. Or think that just buying the software will automatically make my business better. That just by spending the money, it's going to magically somehow, create this problem-solving solution, just manifest itself in my business. And that's not how it works either.
Yeah.
Software, like anything, like any system or process, has to be applied. The people have to be trained. You have to move out of an old system and into a new way of doing it. And all of that has to be planned for.
Yeah. No, I think that's really, really good. So here's the other thing I like. The old KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. That's so I'm going to say something, and Carter, you correct me if you think I'm wrong. But to me, a software that does everything sounds fantastic. I mean, it sounds great that it can do everything. But what I find is it's so bulky and there's so much and nobody really knows how to use it, or there's one person that if you're relying on one person in your office to run a piece of software that runs everything, what happens if that person goes away? I mean, these are things that I think about. And so you got to keep it simple. And so to me, I know everybody wants like a one size fits all. To me, it makes more sense to have several things. I mean, we have several things that we together works as a whole, and we change, and we're always looking for different things. But I've never wanted something that does everything in our business.
Yeah, that's the business, the one ring to rule them all, or the last solution you'll ever need. I mean, there's a lot of ways that they get sold. Some of them are brilliant. I mean, a great example, Service Titan. I think it's a $1 billion software company, and they've put the resources of $1 billion worth of funding and everything else into designing software that solves a lot of different problems in a lot of different areas of a business. And for those businesses that fully adopt it, I have no doubt that they see a tremendous amount of value in it. But more often what we see are businesses who buy the promise, who buy the shiny, the gadgets and the features, and they look at that full list and they think, wouldn't it be amazing if our business could utilize all of this, without understanding what that really means. And so 9 times out of 10, I wouldn't say 9 times out of 10, I would just say that a good percentage of the time, we see businesses who are overspending for that software and underutilizing it, and not even getting maybe 50% of using 50% of what it can really do, because it's just too cumbersome and requires too much commitment and too much technological knowledge in order to really make it do all of those things. So as a result, they're really overspending for software, because they should have just kept with something that was simpler. Keep it simple. And sometimes the simpler thing fully utilized is better than the more complicated thing that's not utilized well at all.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. So this is kind of a little contrary to what I just said, how versatile is the technology. But I look at versatility not in what the technology can do. I look at versatility as, is this technology easy for multiple people? Is it versatile in the way that, I don't have to be a Rhodes Scholar to figure it out? And I'm the one in our business that's the least technical. So if you guys can give me technology that I can understand, pretty much a 5th grader or 3rd grader could understand it in these days. So that's what I look at with the versatility part. It's more like how many people can actually understand it and do it.
Or is it, and we're going to get into talking a little bit about, do the people who designed the technology really understand your industry? But part of the versatility thing comes into play there. When something is versatile, it means that it can be used in a lot of different scenarios. And software that is versatile is usually, that versatility comes with a price, which is complexity. It becomes more complex in order to account for all of the different use cases and scenarios in which the software needs to be applied and used. So that versatility can sometimes be at odds with the keep it simple number two principle that we just talked about, because that versatility creates complexity. But by versatility, I like what you said. Will the people in my business who do the job that we need them to do in the way that we've instructed them to do it, and the processes that we've already had in place, can this software be adapted to those people, systems, and processes? Can it fit within the way that we currently do it? Is it versatile enough to do that? And oftentimes the answer is no. The software was designed with a very rigid, specific kind of business in mind, or a business within an industry that runs itself according to certain kinds of processes and principles. And a business that runs it that way can absolutely find and think that this is the most versatile software and ever found. But somebody else who is coming from running it a little bit different way can look at that software and go, man, it doesn't adapt to us at all. It's not versatile at all. Our people hate it. We're having trouble with it. Our customers know how frustrating it is for us to use it, and they're suffering as a result. So yeah, it really kind of just depends. Versatility is in the eye of the beholder. So when you're asking your buddies on Facebook, hey, does anybody use software X in their business? And you get a whole bunch of people coming back and saying, absolutely, I love it. It's the best thing since sliced bread. Ask some more follow-up questions like, how did it work with the systems that you already had in your business? And what do those systems look like? How do you do business using the software? Because it may be radically different than the way you prefer to do business. And if that's the case, it might not be the right fit for you. So just because your buddy uses it and loves it doesn't mean that you run your business the same way your buddy does, and you may hate the software.
Very good point. Very good point. And I really like this one. Do the people involved understand your industry? And the reason I like this is I've seen software that works really, really good in the real estate business. Years ago, and they just swore it would work in the mortgage business. Well, realtors and mortgage people work very, very closely together, but it's two totally different types of businesses.
Different industries.
Yeah, totally different industries, totally different needs, totally different follow-up, totally different everything in a lot of ways.
Different regulations.
Yeah, it just did not transfer well. And the people, which we'll get in a minute talking about support, the people that were trying to support the mortgage industry were so frustrated. They could support the real estate industry in a half a second because they knew it so well for that industry, but they really did not know enough about the mortgage industry to support it very well. So you end up asking them questions and being on hold and waiting forever, to get help. So having people that understand your industry, so the software is built for that industry, I think is really important.
Yeah, it is. Or at least some familiarity with the way that your industry runs. And it's always a good thing to ask the question, can you give me examples of people in my industry that are using this software successfully? So that you can learn a little bit about, how it applies really to your industry. If the people involved understand your industry and they've built it in a way that it works well for your industry, and they say it works well for other kinds of industries, how similar are those industries? We talk about home services a lot, just lumping a lot of different kinds of home contractor services and businesses into the same ball of wax. but you start unpacking it a little bit more, and there are definite differences. A roofing contractor runs their business incredibly differently than a chimney service company, or HVAC is very different than maid services, right? So, I mean, these are get lumped together, and oftentimes are sold the same software. Is it versatile enough to handle all of those things? Well, some of them really are. But some of them, that versatility means there's more work for you to do to adapt it to your particular industry. So you're going to be writing more. You're going to be becoming very familiar with the settings, the deeper settings of that software to configure it in order to work the way that you need it to work within your industry, right? So the more niche the software is for your particular industry, oftentimes the less work you have to do in order to configure it all and manage it all and stay on top of it all for your particular need.
Yes, I just want to take a minute and thank Ray Long and Linda Roydhouse for giving us a like and a thumbs up. Always glad to have people here that like what we're talking about. I think that's great. The last of these is what type of support or help you're going to get when you need it.
This is probably the biggest disconnect during the sales process that we see. When we hear people say, when I bought the software, they told me it would do X, Y, and Z, but they didn't tell me that I was going to be on the call, on a support call twice a day for 8 months, trying to work out problems and get it to do what they told me it would do in the beginning. So that's a really good question to ask. What form of help is available to me as a software user signing up at the level of the package that I'm getting? Because sometimes the lower priced packages only have email support or chat support or something else that isn't sufficient for solving your needs. They may sell support packages that are separate from the software, and you buy the support package and you can buy it for a few months while you're getting things set up. And that's good, but it's good to ask people, what is your experience with their support? Are they responsive? Do they take into consideration the specifics of your business, or are they just, did go to, the company's support boot camp and learn how to shoehorn everybody into the same inflexible solution, and that's all they know how to do. And so when you ask a question that's a little outside the box, they freeze up and have no idea how to answer you. You go into this loop of, let me refer you to this person, and they refer you to someone else, and up down the chain, and you get lost in this, this complex, dark support world that nobody has answers for you and nobody seems to know how to deal with you, and so you just don't get attention.
And sometimes you need people that are on the other side in support that can understand your questions. One of my favorite support stories, I'm going to tell this real quick, and I know we're almost out of time, but I think it's worth telling here, is a guy got a call from a lady. It was a Dell support, and he said, "Hey, can I help you?" And she said, "Yeah, I'm really having issues. My cup holder broke and I need to replace it." And he's like, "Ma'am, your computer doesn't have a cup holder." And she's like, "Oh, no, it's got a cup holder, but it broke." And he stayed on the phone with her. Come to find out, it was her drive. The old drives that we
CD-ROM drive.
Yeah, it was out, and she was using that as a cup holder. So, you never know. Some of us people out on this side, we're trying to tell them what's wrong, what we're seeing, what's going on, and we're having a struggle ourselves
to understand what the real problem is.
Exactly. So, sometimes we don't know enough to actually ask the right questions either. So anyway, so hopefully none of y'all have a cup holder anymore. That's my wish. If you have a cup holder, you need to get a new computer.
And that's a good point to bring up, that oftentimes the support you get from a company, you get out of it what you put into it.
Yeah.
if people who, and this just comes from experience in supporting software that we provide to our own customers. When a customer works with us as a partner, it says, hey, I've got this problem and I'm not sure why it's doing this. Maybe you can help me. And we start diagnosing it together and getting into it, but it feels more like a partnership to get to a solution to enable them to do what they're trying to do. They're going to get a lot more and faster and better help simply because they're working with me, to do it, versus the person who calls up and says, I don't know, it's broken. It's your fault. Fix it. Call me when it's done. And I'm like, I don't know what the problem is yet. You haven't worked with me yet to really figure that out. So support is one of those types of things that you get out of it, what you put into it. And the more friendly you are with the support people, the more information you can give them, oftentimes the faster they can help you get to the solution and the better that experience will be. Because it's just a fact that the software support companies have software. There's a little box that you can check for difficult customers. And every time that difficult customer calls and they pull up your record, they see that box checked. And it puts them in a frame of mind that's sometimes defensive in dealing with you. And you may think that you're, bashing your head against the rock and then it's all their fault, but it could be because they've had some bad experiences with you and they're simply trying to protect themselves because they know they're going into round number 18 or whatever it is.
No, I think that's really true. And I'm somebody that gets all wound up and stuff when I do it because I don't know how to tell. But I will just tell you what I've learned to do is when I first start on a call with anybody, whether it's my Wi-Fi, AT&T, whoever it is, I always start with saying, look, I'm really angry, but I am not angry at you. I am angry because this is still not fixed. And this is now the third time I've called. Can you please either help me or get somebody on the phone who can actually solve my problem?
Yeah. And that's not a difficult customer. That's a reasonable customer who's frustrated. And a frustrated customer doesn't make that customer difficult. It just means that we need to have empathy as a support person, understand their problem and understand where they're coming from, but then get down to like the real brass tacks and work with them. And it is very frustrating. I will say, there are times where the nature of the technical problem is beyond my pay grade. And in those times, to deal with a tech support that's condescending and acts like you should know all this stuff and you're not talking the right lingo, man, that adds a lot to the frustration. So again, something to keep in mind, the more complex the software is that you're choosing, the better the support better be. And the more training they should have to support their software.
No, I would agree with that. And I'm just going to go back because I really, really appreciate Linda saying the automation software program that we have was a time saver. Thank you, Linda. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
And then Jerry said, agree. Software issue right now. He's got one.
Getting answers is difficult. Yeah. Too heavily invested to walk away. It's that sunk cost. Like, I know I'm about to waste 4 hours of my life today trying to get this solution, and get this figured out. And what I would really love to do is just spend that 4 hours going out and finding a new software company to work with.
Sometimes that's true. That is true. So, guys, that's it for the day. If we've got any more, so here's Jake. Can't wait to try it out. All right. There's the challenge. He's thrown it down.
We're close. Jake, I had a computer crash over the holidays and I lost some information. I've already communicated with your office, though, to get a final, just some names and emails of your staff so that we can finish setting up that last little bit. So we're really close. Should be wrapping it up.
Now, speaking of, this is all about software. We can go in and talk about technology next time, but I thought Carter was going to cry. He was not a happy camper over the holidays.
Yeah, it's like somebody chopped my left arm off and tied my right one behind my back. When you lose the computer and some of the files that were on that computer that weren't in the cloud, and 99.9% of my files are in the cloud, but I keep a scratch pad on my desktop just a note, just to throw notes in. And I just throw stuff in it all day long. And some of the notes from meetings that I'd had right before the holidays were in that and had not been acted on yet. My computer crashed and I lost those notes. And some of those notes were pretty darn important with regard to the setups that we're in the middle of. So I've had to go back and ask several clients, refresh my memory on this. And can you send me the names of those employees and their email addresses again? So we're getting through it.
It's all good stuff. And guys, just to remind you that next Friday, January 20th at 3 p.m., I'm going to be doing a free webinar on how to build a small business. It's really how to grow a small business. That was my mistake. I don't know why I was thinking about building that when I wrote this out, but it's how to grow a small business. And it really is free. It's really for anybody who is having, I would say, hiccups or kind of stagnation, or see that you think you're doing all the right moves and you end up right back where you started every year. We see this a lot with people. They move three steps forward thinking they're going to be 5 steps at the end of the year, and they're 3 steps back right where they started, not understanding why they're there. So it's just really about really good business principles. So that's going to be Friday the 20th, January 20th. If you're interested in that, let me see, just email me, Taylor@sparkmarketer.com, and we'll get you on the list. We're also going to be sending out an email sign up you can look for next week. So we are also on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, Podvine, and your favorite player. So as a podcast. So if that's something that you want to do, there is plenty of places where you can listen. And Chuck Roydhouse just said, having a personal relationship has a value to your company. I think that's really true. So in full disclosure, Chuck and Linda were in business together and used our software for the last 2 or 3 years in their business. And hopefully, I tell this to people that I hope it's a piece of their business that helped them retire early. How's that?
Yes.
I hope that's what it was. Anyway, guys, next week, I keep getting this question. How long does it take SEO to see results when you're in it? So we're going to dive down into that subject next week and kind of give you an answer. I wish I could say X time, but we're going to talk about how to kind of gauge the time in your area, how you might kind of make some educated guesses, if you will, on what that answer is. So anyway, until then, guys, thanks so much. There you go. I love that, Roydhouse. That's a great way to end. Just a lot of money. Money. We'll see you guys later. See you next week.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.